my dad finds out accidentally that wasn't even adopted. He was like purchased.
I don't know any other pastors that do that. Have a sport that they attend, have a games night that they attend.
So you're saying like Monday to Friday is church for
Bro,
you, Saturday to Sunday
their entire
is
life
church
is
for you.
church.
And we met up with organizations teaching monks English. We got up with organization getting bombs out of the ground in Laos.
Yeah.
For anyone listening, if this podcast has ever impacted you in a positive way, DM their Instagram and actually give them their flowers while they're still doing it.
Appreciate that.
And don't hold back with the compliments. Give them a loaded one. Big text message. Chunky big boy.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Disruption Podcast.
Yes, sir.
We're back in the building. It's Noor the Baghdaddy.
It's Chief Olasoji in the building, baby.
It's your girl Moeezy.
Carlos is missing
Yes.
yet again. Where is he? He's taking care of the kids.
He's
I'm
not
not
here.
Carlos. Why's Carlos look Asian?
Very different look today, man. Very, very different look from
Well, we are
Carlos.
joined by a guest, actually a longtime friend more than a guest.
sir.
A dude that has lived a very interesting life on so many levels. I think just because we know him, but
Yeah.
even online, I feel like there's been a lot of people might recognize something that he's thrown out there. You know what I mean? Pastor Alex Tan, thank you for joining us.
Hey,
Welcome.
great to be here. Thanks for having
Welcome
me.
back. Are you sure it's really great to be? Are you happy to be back in Melbourne for sure?
I'm so happy to be back. Like, this is awesome. This is awesome. I've been watching your guys' podcast, I feel like since day dot, when it was a thought, when it was a concept. And it's good to be here. Happy to be here.
It is crazy and rare to have like people that genuinely have known about when there's been an idea of this pod. Like I think there's a lot of people that have seen it when we dropped and
Yeah.
like came out, but then I don't know. Yeah, there's not that many people who are around who are actually just talking about this idea.
Yeah.
And like, literally here we are now.
I remember when it was all like a thought. It was a concept. Hey, we're thinking about starting this thing. How do we do it? And I never had any advice to give, but I was always like, just do it. Just do it. Like, just go. Just keep going. So
Oh, man.
I love it. I'm cheering you guys on.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
It's been fun.
So good.
I was gonna say those type of people are funny and dangerous though, because you can have the ones that just cheer you and egg you on, and then it's like you should really be the type to tell this person don't do whatever it is. But I'm happy that at least this turned out to be something good.
100%.
Okay,
Worst
right.
case that happens is we get cancelled and that's it.
Oh, that's the worst case. Yeah,
Shut
lose
it
our
down.
jobs.
You
Get
guys have tried to get cancelled. You haven't. Like,
Oh, don't worry, we can try harder if you really, if we really want
hey, we
to.
can go there. You know, I want to just say a few things just to clear the.
If you want to be the one, you can start us off with that today. How's life though? Like how things been? I think since there's obviously context that's behind the scenes and whatnot. But yeah, you were here for I don't even know how many years that was.
I was here for a few years.
Yeah, here for a few years
Yep.
from Sunshine Coast. Went
Yep.
back. Since then, you've had 2 children. Then,
We've got 3 kids now.
Now you've got 3. Yeah,
Beautiful
was it
wife,
2?
Carly and I. We moved here when our girl was 9 months old.
Yeah.
And now we've got 3 kids, and I think we're done. Yeah, I'm just doing some research. Here we go. We're just jumping in.
Yeah, no, because now I actually want to talk about this. But
Like,
continue.
if I get a vasectomy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
does it like lessen my testosterone?
Yeah,
And-
and then do I have to go on TRT or something?
Yeah. So I'm literally like, because we're pretty cooked. Like, we're
Yeah.
done at 3.
So we're cool.
And I'm like, but yeah, I don't know what the thing is. Like, if that happens, is it going to affect testosterone? I don't want to lower my T. You got to keep the T up.
Keep the T up.
So anyway, people are like, what podcast have I tuned into? I thought this guy's a pastor. He's talking about vasectomies. Hey, it's biblical. No.
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, far out. I don't know if any of those things are like I'm not against vasectomies.
Okay.
But it just doesn't feel natural.
Nothing feels natural getting the
most
utensil
natural thing
down
is to
there.
just keep having kids.
Oh,
Whoa.
nah. I mean, yes, it is.
It is. It is the most natural.
I know
thing. I'm not
you
saying
want a
it's the
big
best
family.
thing.
You've always said you want
I
a big
want a
family.
Soccer team, man.
Yeah, this guy's always said that, but I'm like, oh, yeah.
Why you want to stop? Is it like is 3 really?
Yeah, is
Like
that
your
the number or
capacity?
you like
Three's a
that's the
biblical number.
capacity or-
Father, Son, Holy Spirit, A, B, C,
God
1,
into
2, 3, do,
ABC.
re,
There's
mi.
26 letters in
It's
that.
missed 25, 20, whatever of them.
It's just biblical, you know? Yeah, triangle is a
7
great
is
shape.
completion,
like-
though.
Oh, don't
You're
even
only
go
a family
there.
of 5 right now.
Don't
There's 2
even
more
go
kids to
there.
have.
Don't even go there. But I'm going to change subject on you guys. I got you guys a gift.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
No,
I'm
you can't,
down
you
for
can't
gifts.
see Marwa. You can't see, but just in case. Oh, hold up. This mic. I'm moving this here. I'm
scared,
don't have a look at Marwa because she can see over here. But like I said, I've been a fan of you guys since day dot. Oh, you can open your eyes, Marwa. I'm blocking her out.
Just 30 minutes in. We'll tell you when.
So, been a fan of your guys' pod for so long. It's nothing special, but I just got some
pod or the
Podcast is nothing special.
Yeah, being a fan, you guys have done nothing. No, I've been a fan of you guys for a long time. And I was saying just before we hit record that I remember sending you, Nora, a message and I was like, if you guys just get to episode 300, like you've made it. Like just don't quit before 300. 300's like just the first rung. And you guys, I'm pretty sure, are nearing 300.
284 today.
Yes.
Oh, well, technically 283 is the last one we put out. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's an honor to be here near 300. And it's just a little present. The present's nothing special is what I was trying to say. But it's just a little bit of artwork for you guys.
Oh, that's lit.
So here we go.
That's from the live show, is it? Yeah.
I don't know. I just sent it to my artist. I was like, draw it up. So
Oh, wow.
That's
see what you think.
Oh,
I hope you like it.
Yeah.
Hey, shout out to the artist. He made me second tallest in the crew.
I just sent you the screenshots. I was like,
Oh, this is
Daniel's
so
higher.
good.
Make him taller.
It's
I
so
look wham as
good.
well. I look good.
I'm
that's
sorry
so
about the
sick.
jawline,
Oh, I
bro.
love it.
Bro, you're gonna have to crop in on the jawline there later. Oh, I think Noah looks the
that's
best there.
beautiful.
Just saying. Yeah.
Wow, this is sensational.
thank
I love
you.
this.
Look at my
That is
jawline, bro.
He killed it.
Oh,
dope.
wow.
I
The
just
artist
I
did
wanted
amazing.
to give you guys your flowers. I want to
that's
give
dope.
you guys a
Thank
little
you.
something just to say I'm in your corner. I've been cheering for you guys for
Wow.
many years. So
Appreciate that for sure.
it's,
I love
I'm
that.
happy to
Thank
be here.
you.
Nah, I mean-
Find a spot for that.
Yeah,
somewhere.
once we need to clean up this place badly. Right. No, I think generally it's you've been one of those people that have been ruining our in different elements of life as well, not just like pod, like different aspects. Because I mean, when you were here, you were also in a pastoral capacity as well.
Yeah.
So like for us within young adults, within youth and all that kind of stuff. So you were there championing us in that kind of space as well too. But maybe that's even a good way to even get into it now. What in the world has the journey
Life
and
of Alex Tan
of
been?
Alex Tan been essentially?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Before you get into it,
Yeah.
there's actually something that like I feel like I might have said this to you, but when I talk about it with friends, but more when I've like reflected on my own time, like you're one of those people that you make the most of life, right? And
I tried.
really tried to go like, how do I apply that in my own flavor to my own life?
Yeah.
Right. Like, because you'll get into it. It's like when I hear like your stories of like, oh, and then I lived in this place for 6 months, then I moved to this thing, and then I've, decided let's run into this abandoned building and have fun and whatever. Like it sounds crazy, but it's like you're just like you grab life by the vasectomy balls.
We'll see if
had
it
to
grabs
say
me.
Yeah, which I'm like, it's just such a dope way to live. Like,
Yeah.
it's like you force memories, which
Yeah.
I think is beautiful.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah, well, like, I don't know. I'm just super grateful. Like, I think, you only have certain moments in life. There's certain seasons, certain opportunities. And I think what really frustrates me at the moment is how many young people are essentially like wasting their life away, scrolling on a phone, watching other people live. And like, I just think about how many young people I get to interact with and talk with, and they just spend hours upon hours essentially like observing life. It's like like those Black Mirror episodes where there's people who come home at night and they like scroll through their TV thing and they just like get fixated on watching other people live. And so just I don't know what it was or when it was, but I remember just from a young age being like, nah, I wanna actually live, enjoy my life, what God's given us, and be amongst it.
Well, I mean, the upbringing you had, like, parents as pastors as well too. So like, what's family dynamic, and then how do you think that that's then shaped that outlook on life in terms of enjoying what God's given and living to the fullest kind of thing? Like,
Yeah,
what do you think was in that?
I feel like I've had a gratefulness distilled into me from a young age. So it comes back to my dad. My dad grew up in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, and he was born into an abusive household. His parents were addicted to gambling, to alcohol, and from a young age, my dad was sort of would sleep on the concrete floor while his parents gambled and to the late hours, and he was essentially secondhand smoking for years, which has given my dad like an incurable lung disease. So he's got a really bad cough. And around the age of 13, my father went to go get his ID card with who he thought was his father. And it had a different color to what it was meant to have. And he essentially asked his dad, hey, what's up with this? And his dad told him, oh, you're not actually our son. We brought you for a few $100s when you were born. So my dad finds out accidentally that wasn't even adopted. He was like purchased, you know? So his birth parents, my technical grandparents, it's not like they still loved him and gave him up for adoption or gave him to a family friend. They literally tried to profit off my dad as a baby. So this information threw my dad's world into chaos. He got involved in gangs. He got involved in crime. You know, I don't know what gangs look like back then, the Eshes of Malaysia, you know, like in the 60s or in the 70s, but probably like stabbing people with a soy sauce bottle or something. But
the KO boys, man.
Yeah. And so that was my dad's world. And then essentially, my dad had like a radical encounter with Jesus in his late teens, and his whole life, his whole trajectory turned from gangs, crime, all of that destruction, to following Jesus, pursuing God, becoming a pastor. So having that awareness growing up, I think I was like, wow, that was my dad's upbringing, and I'm privileged to be raised in a loving household, great parents, great family. So I'm just this sense of like gratitude, I guess, was instilled in me. When I was coming towards the end of year 12, everyone's asking, what are you doing for Schoolies? What are you doing for Schoolies? And growing up on the Sunshine Coast, I'm only 2 hours away from like Schoolies, you know? And at the time we had some great family friends of ours living with us. And he was also my youth pastor. And I didn't even get a choice. He just told me like, hey, for your Schoolies trip, we're doing a cycling trip over Southeast Asia for a month. And I'm like, I've never wanted to do anything like that. You know, like I'm not Quadzilla. Like, what do you mean? So he's like, no, it'll be fun. Like, let's do it. So I was just like, let's do it. So we just booked a one-way ticket. And I literally like, this sounds crazy when I think back on it, because it actually was. I had no plan. I was like, we're going to cycle around Southeast Asia for a month, and then I'm going to go to China because my sister just happened to be teaching English in China. Hope people are following with this story. And so I was like, that was the only 2 flights I had. One flight in and then one flight to China, nothing else. So everyone's like, oh, what are you doing after school? Oh, I go biomedical science, you know, Daniel Olasaji, you know that? But like, they got their 5-year plan sorted. I'm going to study this. I'm going to do this. Yeah. But I was like, I've got 2 flights and no return. And everyone's minds were freaking out when I told them. But there was just a great sense of peace that it was all going to work out. So 10 days after year 12 finishes, I get on a plane with a bike, and I had 2 pairs of pants, 2 shirts, and 1 pair of bike pants.
Well, you got on the plane with the bike? Like, you didn't just go, we're going to pick up a bike there?
No, I got the bike. I bought it off eBay.
You need a trusted bike.
I bought it off eBay.
You bought it from eBay. You just returned it back to where it came from.
Yeah, made from China, sent back to China. But I got a story. Anyway, I ended up trying to sell it in a place in Vietnam. Anyway, so I jump on this plane with my good friend of mine, and he was my youth pastor as well. And we essentially just cold emailed a bunch of nonprofits, so these NGOs through Thailand, Laos, Vietnam, and we just said, we're coming to do a documentary, which has never been put together. But we're like, coming to do a documentary. We're like 1 handy cam, and I think we had like a GoPro 3, you know. So, and we just want to hear your story. So we just land in Bangkok. We literally unpack our bikes. Wow. We put our 1 pair of pants on, our second pair's in the bag, at 1 shirt on, the other shirt's in the bag. I've got a camera, nothing else.
So that's actually it.
That's it. Wow. And some, like socks and undies.
Yeah. Not even that optional, to be honest.
They are. Yeah. So that's it. That's all I have. Just 2 little bags that you strap onto the bike. And we literally get out of the airport, and we don't hop in a taxi, a bus, a train, plane. We get on our bikes and we just start cycling. And I'm like, what are we doing? And we just did that for a month. We just went town to town, city to city, and we met up with organizations teaching monks English. We got up with organization getting bombs out of the ground in Laos. Yeah. We met up with churches, orphanages, just places and people doing epic things. And we just heard their story and we were just like inspired. And then at the end of that, I fly to China. And midway on the trip, actually, my sister sends me a Facebook message. She goes, oh, you know how you're coming to China to live with me? I'm like, yeah. Like, that's my only life plan right now. I'm not even 18. I'm 17 years old. I'm like, yes, my life plan coming to China to hang out with you. She goes, yeah, I'm going to be leaving China and I'm going to move to Thailand to volunteer with this organization that rescues girls out of prostitution, out of brothels and stuff. And I was like, well, I'll just join you. So I quickly see her in China. Then we both moved to Thailand. And then that was the next 13 months of my life. Living, volunteering in Thailand.
I didn't realize it was that long.
13
Yeah.
months.
So that's a whole nother story in Thailand.
Did you end up picking up much Thai? Like
ใช่ครับผมพูดภาษาไทยได้ครับผม
that's a yes, guys.
Anyone can translate that. I literally just, I can
All I
speak,
heard is cup.
I can
know
speak a
cup.
little bit of Thai. Cup.
All I know is cup.
Yeah, so I'm there and I was like, I'm just volunteering with this organization. I'm just driving people around. I'm doing the classic Western missionary thing.
Yeah.
Painting walls. You know, it's like Thailand doesn't have enough guys that know how to paint walls. That short-term mission mindset is so stupid. But anyway, I'm there and I'm like, I'm changing the
I feel
world.
so good about myself.
I'm like, this world's gonna see Jesus. Just like just preach to the world, you know,
Wall.
this wall. So anyway, I'm like painting walls, and I was like, I should find something more useful.
Yeah.
So I found out there's a course you can do called TESOL, Teaching English as a Second Language. And I got qualified as an English TESOL teacher. So I did like a 4-week intensive and I got qualified just like that. And then I just started volunteering. So I was teaching kids in orphanages. I was teaching the Thai staff. And my sister and I were just like running hard, teaching these people how to speak English. And these girls were getting rescued. It was really sad and quite confronting as an 18-year-old then being there. These girls are getting rescued out of brothels, out of essentially trafficking and modern day slavery. And we just saw like this community just love on them. There's counselors, there's supporters. These girls like come to Christ, and it was just awesome. That was a real pivotal year of my life that gave me perspective, while all my other friends were still like, you know, recovering from their hangovers at Schoolies. I'm just living like such a different life in Thailand.
Yeah, wow. That is very sobering, especially like at that early age when you realize like this is how bad life can be for some people. Yeah. And it's like, at that point, it's like, well, whatever I've experienced and probably whatever I'm going to experience, I'll always have this perspective. Not that my problems are the biggest problems that exist in my world. You know what I mean? But it's like, that's the thing. It's like, at least I have the perspective to remember, like, that's just my world.
Yeah.
You know, like that is, wow.
It gave me a lot of empathy. Like, everyone's problems are huge for them.
Exactly.
Like, I've got a 3-year-old son. And like when I ask him to clean up his room, like he's like, oh, he gets overwhelmed. He's like, there's too much. I need help. I can't do this. And he's crying on the ground. And I look at him, and part of me is like, just man up, you know? But it's like, actually, no, empathy would tell me that is a huge problem for him. For someone else, it's like having a mental breakdown during uni. For someone else, it's finding out that their dad's not their dad at the age of 13. Like everyone's problems are big. So it's given me a lot of empathy to understand that. But while I was over there, a story I'll never forget. This girl got rescued out of a brothel, and she was maybe, like 13, 14, around there. And her name was Nung, which means one in Thai. You guys been in Thailand, eh?
Yeah.
You guys traveled
last year.
Yeah. It was you guys as well.
Yeah, he was.
he was
Last
there
year was
too,
with us,
yeah.
but then he also went maybe 10 years ago as well.
Sheesh.
Yeah.
Carlos didn't get invited.
He was.
He
He's
was.
always invited.
Did he turn up? That's
Come on, Carlos. Where is he? No.
he didn't turn up to the invitation today.
But this girl's name was Nung, which means one. And when she came into what was called the rescue home there in Thailand, she was wild, man. She was fighting other girls. I remember seeing her grab another girl's hair. There was a fight. Staff had to run, try to break it up. She was just like angry, full of hatred, full of just pain. And I was like, what do we do with this girl? And through over a space of about 6 to 9 months, she started getting counseling. She started like softening a bit and opening her heart up to healing. And then I saw she had a passion for hairdressing. Yeah. So we started this hairdressing salon there, got a professional in from the States who worked for some big company, and she trained all these girls in hairdressing. And my job was to train them to speak English to customers. So we're literally going through like hair colors, and I'm creating charts like how do you want your haircut? And like long and short and this and that. So we're like hands on with them. But all in the back of my head, I'm thinking, why was she so angry when she came in? I moved back to Australia, and I ended up working for this organization and going around to schools to speak about what they're doing to raise money for them. And I messaged someone and I said, hey, can you give me some stories of girls that I would know? So when I go and speak at the schools, I can retell their stories. And my friend said, you remember Nung? And I'm like, yeah, she was crazy. But it's great. She's a hairdresser now. And they said, oh yeah, Nung's one of like the darkest stories. I hope this isn't too
No, it's fine.
heavy.
Trigger warning. There you go.
Trigger warning for the pod. But essentially from a young age, she was like like physically tied up and taken to different brothels and just used and abused very, very terribly, thrown in the back of cars, all this sort of stuff for years. When she got rescued out of it, obviously just anger, rage, bitterness that's just lashing out at people around her. So a year later, as a 19-year-old, I take a team of 17 people back to Thailand to experience what I experienced because I want to show them. So we go back to Thailand and I'm like, I can't wait to see Nung working in this hairdresser salon. And we go to visit because we started a salon.
Yeah.
And so I rock up to the salon and I was like, where's Nung? Where's Nung? And they're like, oh, did you not hear the news? And I'm like, what happened to Nung? They're like, oh, she left the salon and she started her own salon.
Wow.
And here's the address. I'm like, amazing. So I get on my motorbike, all 15, 17 of us. I go down to her salon. There's Nung's salon.
Yeah.
She's speaking English. She's employing other girls that got rescued out of child trafficking. And she is like a full functioning adult running her own business. And she cut my hair. And I'm like, I'm a man. I'm trying to be a man. But like, honestly, I was crying in my seat.
Yeah.
As she washed my hair, cut my hair. And I'm just weeping, being like, wow, what God has done in this like young lady's life in 2 years. Crazy.
It's crazy to think that like that's a 2-year turnaround as well compared to like 10, 15, however many years of what she'd been through as well. And then within 2 years to see things kind of like just change. Like crazy that she still has to obviously have memory of that or live with the experiences, but then it's like the redemption of that as well too. And then now how she actually uses that for other people. It's like that's a crazy change of like, literally that 2 years is all that.
It's wild, man. You know? It's wild. That's the power of God. Change people's lives.
Something I was thinking while you were mentioning around like this story like that, but then also as you were like, painting walls and teaching English and going around and doing all sorts of things, right? Like there's so much impact directly that comes from your actions in that space, right? Because I'm just thinking about how we're in our bubbles, in our worlds, and we work so hard thinking that maybe like, we're making the difference or like all we're doing is changing the world sometimes. I think maybe, I don't know if it's everyone, but sometimes you think, okay, this idea is going to kill them. This is what's going to take this to the next level. Or this is what's going to set up this next generation. And we also work so hard for like, the generational wealth aspect of things when it comes to money and houses, things we can pass on to the next generation. It's like, but you were really overseas doing stuff for free because you mentioned you were volunteering as well, but the direct impact that has on individual lives, you can actually pinpoint this person was here and this is where they are now. This person was here, this is where they are now. I'm like, it's tough to make sense of what we're doing in our space now then, because I'm like, how much impact do we actually get to have? You know? And like, how do we actually quantify that when you really could be somewhere else completely and rescuing people out of a completely dark place? I'm like, how do we now actually justify what we get up to in our busy worlds and our busy lives? And I'm just wondering, like, after all those journeys and even the different people that you had spoken to as you were like cycling around at the different like charities and whatnot, what kind of lesson, I guess, came from that as well? Obviously the empathy part of it, but even just like any lesson or even like life.
For sure.
Mantras,
I think the way I can boil it down is like, so as a pastor, I'm in ministry. But the reality is anyone who calls themselves a follower of Jesus is also called to ministry. And the best definition of ministry I've ever seen was from Heidi Baker. And she says, ministry is simply loving the person in front of you. And so I think that applies whether you're volunteering in Thailand, whether you're running a business here in Melbourne, whether you're just a young person in uni, whatever it is. It's like, if you can have the perspective, all I'm called to do is just love whoever's in front of me, I think you make an impact wherever you go. And it's not like a one day when, it's not like an overseas thing. It's just like every day, every now. I've got crazy stories from when I was in Melbourne with you guys I will get to it, like trying to follow chronologically, but I've got some wild stories of just literally in this area, Bayswater, Croydon, Rowville, in the city, of people's lives, maybe not as hectic as that story I just shared from Thailand with Nung, but similar stories, It's wild.
Yeah, that's some madness.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So where do you go from there then actually? You end up coming back, obviously, right?
So
what a change in scenery.
I'll try not to bog us down too much with detail because we want to get through to things. And I got questions for you guys. That's all right. I want to get that as well. But so while I'm in Thailand, I'm thinking, this is me. This is me the rest of my life. I'm staying in Thailand. I can get food for $1. I'm riding a motorbike with no helmet. We got a pet pig. Like, we named her Brittany.
Oh my.
Like, I'm just living the dream. Yeah, we had hardwood floors. I told you I'm not going to get bogged in stories. We had hardwood floors, and we had a pug and a pig.
No.
And they would run and slide, like do like drifts around the corners on the hardwood. Anyway.
Spider pig.
So I'm thinking, this is it. I'm here for the rest of my life. This is awesome. I love it. And I was just like going by faith, like had no real income sort of thing. Now, I remember arguing with my sister one night how much I hated the concept of university, because I was like, it's just a money grab. I was like real like anti-establishment. Probably still am a little bit. But I was like, it's just a big business, and university is such a waste. You can just learn it all on YouTube. And there's truth to that to an extent.
100%.
And that night, I went to sleep. This is wild, man and woman. That night I went to sleep, and I had this dream, and I believe it was a dream from God. In this dream, it was like a line up for like a theme park ride, like chains. You know how they make the lines through the swells? And this girl was in the dream, my friend Carly, and she's my wife now, but we were just friends at the time. And she was like, I was like, oh, ladies first into the line. And she goes, no, you go first. And I was like, oh, hi, Carl. Like, why are you here? Okay. So I go into the line. Instantly, I'm at the front of the line. After being at the end, I'm front of the line. And I shook a guy's hand, and he hands me this piece of paper, and he goes, congratulations. You've just finished a Bachelor in Communications. And I remember asking him, this dream is so vivid. This dream's over nearly 15 years ago, but I still remember it. And I went, Bachelor of Communications. Well, that was easy. I didn't really have to do anything. And he goes, yep, it's as easy as that. And he shakes my hand. Instantly, I wake up. And I was like, what was that dream about?
Yeah.
What's a Bachelor of Communications? I didn't know any names of degrees. I didn't know what that was.
Never checked for any of them. Hey.
No, I didn't bother, you know? And I was like, man, that was crazy. I just went to my normal Bible reading. Some people love to like throw the Bible and, you know, throw a dart at it. I'm like, no, not about that. It's not like Christian horoscopes. You know, it's like I went to my regular Bible reading, and it was this passage in Isaiah, and it just spoke to me that God was calling me to follow him in this. And I ran downstairs, and I said to my sister, her name's Anna, and I was like, I woke her up and I was like, Anna, I'm going to university. And she's like, what? Like 12 hours early, we were arguing about university. And she's just like, what is this guy on? Like, I know things are cheap in Thailand, but what is he? Oh, you know, but I was like, I think I'm going to university. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I can't explain it. Ran over to my laptop. I searched up Bachelor of Communication. Where can I do a Bachelor of Communications? University of the Sunshine Coast, where I came from, 5 minutes from my house, offers the degree. I applied, and I went out for a ride on my motorbike, and I was just like praying and asking God, what's this all about? Within days, I got accepted with a scholarship straight away.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And I was like,
It was meant to be.
see you, Thailand. Like, I'm out, you know? And it was hard. Like, my heart really hurt to leave Thailand. I had a lot of deep friendships, beautiful people there. But I leave Thailand, I get into university, and essentially the next 3 years of my life just looks like serving in my local church, trying to be helpful, and doing this Bachelor of Communications. And pretty much in that I did a stint in Indonesia. I got a scholarship to study in India. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, at the end of my degree, this is crazy. As I graduate, Carly moves back. I feel like I got so many tangents here, but
Your thing, right?
she was in the circus in America. She did 48 states in 52 weeks.
He's like, I didn't expect that.
So she was living a different life. She was traveling full-time professional dancer in the circus. And she came back just as I was finishing my degree. And I graduated, and then we started dating.
Yeah.
And it was the fulfillment of that dream. And a year later, we got married.
That's crazy.
Crazy.
Wow.
That's actually
Like, I'm just like, but
Wow.
it's just, all I can put it down to is like, God gave me this dream. It was a God dream. Wild,
You were
eh?
obedient
Yeah.
at the time, yeah.
Yeah.
Very obedient.
I'm told you, there's too many tangents and handles for us to grab. But I'm just trying to keep this train moving.
Nah, it's
forward.
moving. I think we're moving well. Yeah. No one's getting
All
off
right, so-
yet.
People listening are like, this guy.
No, we haven't
this
gone
guy's
off the
got
chain
ADD. You're like, he's hard to keep up with.
So you're at the point where you get married, but you've known your wife since you were in year 3, right? What the heck?
That's the story. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so sick. On this, you have a we're gonna kind of mix the tangents here. You have a skill for going viral.
Oh man, how does this happen? Honestly,
So, most romantic man in the Sunshine Coast.
you'll find the article and pop it up over this in your clips. I know you will.
And then-
Yahoo called me the most romantic man in Australia.
Oh, Australia. Okay.
And I was like, no pressure. Like, sheesh, how am I meant to live up
It's
to
all
that?
down from here, man.
Take it.
Here's me over here wanting to vasectomy. Let's stop.
You just put the hat back on, man. You're doing it.
My gosh, all the Christians listening to it, like, what's wrong with this pastor, honestly?
Most
Yeah.
romantic
But
man.
yeah, you're listing them now. Most
And
romantic
then
man.
Discovered the creature.
like an alien.
The unknown.
So that went viral.
That went wild. I was next to Joe Biden in the news.
Crazy.
That was wild.
That is
yeah.
crazy.
Time, huh? Anything come from that?
Sorry.
Yeah, I got some money.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I like that. That's good.
I remember, I think you sent it was a
milked
call
that.
or a voice note even during that time. And you would tell me some of the opportunities and different things that are popping up. And then there was even some of the interviews or something that
Oh, it's
around
wild.
that time.
We're jumping all over the place.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
There's been a few random viral moments that I can't really like pinpoint why, but it just happens.
Yeah.
Actually, I can. Okay, I can pinpoint why. Oh, this is like an epiphany moment right
yeah.
now.
I was about to
Because
ask the
there's a
question.
common thread. I don't know. There's people that are good at going viral are good at going viral.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what the content is.
It's different though if you like forcefully go viral on
Yeah.
something, like you do controversial
Yeah, yeah,
content or you're one of those dudes. But these different things I've gone viral on have been totally unrelated.
Yeah.
But here's actually how I can pinpoint. I'm just realizing this now. This is like an open counseling session.
good, this is good.
Yeah, I'll pay you guys later.
Yeah, please, yes, please.
So when I was we're going back. When I was in year 12, I was at a Christian school, and the final chapel of my year 12 service, the school chaplain, the pastor, got all the year 12s up, and he came along and prayed and prophesied over everyone. And for those listening who don't maybe know what prophecy is, essentially where someone of God lays hands on someone, prays over someone, and speaks into their future what could be. It's not a promise, but it's saying, hey, this is what could be if you keep following God, or what they're sensing. And he put his hand on me, and man, I was freaking out. Like, if you've ever been waiting for someone to pray for you, you're like, palms are sweating, knees were weak, mum's forgetting. And he's coming along, and I'm like, got my eyes closed, and he goes, Alex, I see God's going to use you as a voice to the youth culture in Australia. He said through TV, radio, and newspaper, God's going to use you. And I remember being like, no thanks. Because remember, I had a one-way ticket to China.
Cooking.
I'm like, and I'm not even Australian. You know, like you voice the youth culture in Australia. I always say to people, like, I'm the human version of a sweet chili sour cream. You know, it's like my dad's Asian, my mom's Kiwi. I'm not even Australian. So anyway, fast forward all these years later, I just stuff starts popping off on media. You know, I did that Bachelor of Communications, which heavy focus on media. And then I end up becoming a youth pastor in 2015. And I remember I stalked him down, and I was like, hey, thank you for that word you gave me 3 years ago. You wouldn't even remember it. But I said, there's been all these opportunities, TV, radio, newspaper, literally every single one of them. And now I've just said yes to becoming a youth pastor after doing a Bachelor of Communications.
Yeah.
And he said, being a voice to the youth culture. And I'm like, I think you were pretty on point. So I was like,
Keep your job.
yeah, I was like,
Keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So honestly, these random viral moments that have happened, and we can like go down those tangents if you want to, they, I can't pinpoint them. They're so disconnected from each other.
I think what it is more so is how you tell stories or how you bring people on a journey with you. I think is more what I can see. Like, it's not like being able to sell something, right? But I think the way you are able to present something, like, for example,
Communicate.
like, huh?
Communicate.
Yeah, communicate.
Literally.
I feel like I'm struggling here. I'm just jumping all over. But
But I think it's the way that you are able to, like, if you're talking about, you know, what you did for Carly, or like even the clip for church,
Preaching.
during some of your preaching as well. Like, I think it's literally the way you're communicating or articulating a certain thing, and then now bringing people along that journey and getting them to be excited or interested in what it is as well. You went and saw, obviously, the creature did look very weird. Let's talk about the animal one. Creature looked very weird, but like most people would have seen something like that, maybe recorded it.
Snapchat to their friends.
Snapchat to their friends or whatever. But you're like, yo, guys, this is some real like X-Files that I'm in right now. What's going on here? And then that ends up, it was doing news rounds in America even. I
it
remember
was
that.
wild.
Crazy
Yeah.
going around everywhere.
I was going for a walk on the beach one morning. I was like my normal prayer walk. I'm just walking. I got no shirt on because I'm trying to get some sunlight because I'm working in an office and I don't get enough. So I'm just doing my normal life, right? And then I just see this creature on the ground, and like you can throw the video up. And I remember being like, this thing is wild. Like, what is it? And I was like, I'll just film a video for some friends. So I was like, hey, look what I found. And in the video, I'm like, I think it's a possum, but who knows? Like, maybe it's an alien. Just throw it in there. Anyway, I just kept that video on my phone for 8 months. And I was just showing, I was like doing old school social media. I was just showing people in real life, like, oh, look what I seen. You know, I was like, look what I seen. Like, I'm just showing friends as I seen them. And people are like, you got to post it. And I'm like, it doesn't suit my aesthetics. I was like, I'm a pastor. Why am I posting things about dead animals on the beach? But people were just like, no, you should post it. Like, it'd just be funny. So I'm like, oh, whatever. I post it. Second I post it, somehow like a newspaper or a radio station hears about it. So I get my first call and I'm like, who's this? And they're like, we seen you found an alien. And I'm like, oh man, this is getting out of hand. And that just started. Like, so day one, it pretty much did Oz, just blew up. Day two, it was like NZ. Day three, it hit the US because the US, you know,
catch up
media's later. Day four, it was in the UK, India.
Wow.
It just started going everywhere. And so this was around the Russia-Ukraine time. So on the news, literally you look at CBS's news grid, there was Joe Biden, Russia-Ukraine announcement, and then me. And I'm like, what is this? I get like contacted by like a video agency and they're like, we need you to sign a contract, you know, so you can make some money. I'm like, heck yeah, we can. And so I just end up milking the heck out of this thing for fun. And I get on the History Channel, you know, like it's just blowing up. And I was just having fun. I'm going to my audience on Instagram like, hey, I'm about to do a radio interview. Tell me like a random word to say.
Yeah.
Some guys like say triple vax. Another guy's like say, you know, Mike's Will Smith's right hand. You know,
Did you use all of these? I think, you ended
So
up.
I'm on an interview with Dr. Carl from Triple J. And I'm like, yeah, this creature looked like it was triple vax. It looked like I got hit with Will Smith's right hand. And he's like, what is this guy saying? I'm just like trying to have some fun
I'm just
here.
having fun.
And then I realized, whoa, all these eyes are on what I'm doing. This thing's blowing up. I'm a Christian. I'm a pastor. Like, hey, let's use this for God. So I like unashamedly just start really like putting heaps of preaching content out. I start like sharing truths about Jesus. I start sharing Bible verses. And then my DMs just start blowing up. People like came for the alien, stayed for the preaching.
Yeah, man.
People are like, man, I found your video. You know, I'm from the UK. I found your video about the alien. I seen that you're a preacher. I seen that you pray for people. Hey, my dad's got cancer. Can you pray for him? So ministry starts happening in the DMs. I'm from an alien. Like, what on earth? And
Not on Earth.
Yeah, what of it? Anyway, it ends up, it's 100% a possum. Like Robert Irwin, Australia Zoo confirmed it's a possum. I knew it's a possum. But either way, I just milked the heck out of this thing. And then I just used like the eyes. Like Gary Vee has a saying that attention is the currency of this day and age. It is. Attention-see is the fight is for your attention in life. Every tool, every app, and every person wants your attention. Yeah. And so I was like, wow, I have attention. So I'm going to use it to like point people to God. And hopefully I did. Yeah. Yeah. So random, man.
That's cool.
Dang, man. I mean, it really just shows you how anything can be utilized and used for the purpose.
God spoke through a donkey in the Bible. He can speak through an alien viral video. Come on.
That's actually madness, man. I guess that ties in. It is ultimately that communication aspect of things. Like, I think that ability to do so in these spaces or when the opportunity comes out, like that's what comes out of that for sure.
All these random media things. And it's another story that comes to mind. While I was in my 3 years of uni, I got a scholarship to go and study in Indonesia. So I end up moving to this city in Indonesia called Yogyakarta. I learned Bahasa. I'm just getting in with the locals. I'm sleeping on a floor of like a Muslim village elder's house. Yeah. I'm wearing a sarong, showering with a bucket for 3 months. Wow.
Like, good shower. There's bucket showers though. Bucket showers.
Mosquito larvae in them, man.
Okay, that's
like
not. That part's not good.
I'm like, whatever it's called, getting sick. Anyway, I'm just having a wild time. And while I'm there, God opens up this opportunity, and someone in my church says, hey, there's these guys in prison, and I can't get over to Bali. I visit them every year, but I can't get over this year. Can you go and visit them? So I'm like, yeah, of course. So I fly to Bali, and because I'm in the mainland, I'm in Java. I fly to Bali, and I don't know much about these guys. These guys are the Bali Nine, who got caught. They're Aussies who got caught taking drugs into Bali and were on death row. And so I get some bags of fruit because they can't get fruit in the prison, get some other foods that they can't get. And we walk into this prison in Bali, Indonesia, and there's media outside, there's cameras, Channel 7, like Australian media's there trying to interview these guys. And I'm like, I'm about to see these guys. And why am I even seeing them, you know? And so we walk in with these bags of fruit. There's like a blue tarp above our heads, and there's just like the sun's just piercing down. There's guards are just standing there with guns, smoking cigarettes. And we sit on this like just ghetto concrete floor, cross-legged. I'm just freaking out. My heart's beating. And they bring these guys over, and I've seen them all over media. And now I'm sitting with them, and I'm like, hi, like, good to meet. How do you greet someone that
Who has a death sentence
due to be executed? You know, there's like, am I meant to be happy? Am I meant to be sad? I don't even know. I'm just a young guy, like in my uni days. So I sit with them, and I just never forget hearing their story, man. Like, these guys were literal, like some of Australia's biggest drug dealers. In jail, they find Jesus, get their lives completely changed. They end up baptizing Muslims in the prison. They start church services. They start graphic design courses, teaching people skills as they get out while they're on death row. And so I come back to Australia, and I'm just fired up. I'm just passionate. I'm like, we got to keep these guys alive. So I start speaking on prayer vigils, and we start like hosting these rallies, and the media starts popping off again. So I end up getting on TV and all these things. And again, it's not about me getting on TV, but it's a fulfillment of that prophetic word that I have.
Prophecy.
And we're speaking out about them. And then I remember it was about 2-3 weeks later. So I'd just been with them back in Australia, and I wake up to read this article. I wish I could find it, actually. Can I find it?
Yeah, that's cool.
So I find myself back in Australia, and I wake up this one morning to read this news article that I wish I never had to read, but I'll never forget it. Just with these guys a few weeks ago, hear their story of transformation, all the great things they're doing. And again, this is just like how people can use mundane or unfortunate circumstances to glorify God. It's a 2015 news article. I'll just read it out. This is what it says. Indonesia executions. Convicts praised God and sang Christian hymns before death by firing squad. The 8 men executed in Indonesia overnight recited the Lord's Prayer and worshiped God in moments before their death, witnesses say. A pastor present told the Sydney Morning Herald that the prisoners sang "Bless the Lord, O my soul," and "Amazing Grace" as they were lined up, bound to crosses to face the firing squad. All 8 refused blindfolds, choosing to look their executioners in the eyes, and their worship was cut short by gunfire. They were praising God in their final moments, a witness said. It was breathtaking. This was the first time I've witnessed someone so excited to meet their God. And the article finished with this quote. It said, "This is the power of the gospel." This is in Australian mainstream media. This is the power of the gospel, the power to transform drug dealers into pastors of inmates, the power to show mercy to those who are offering no mercy, the power to love your enemies, even while they're planning to execute you.
Wow.
That's madness, man.
That's wild, right?
Powerful.
Jeez,
So
man.
I'm back in Australia. I hear that information, and it just shakes me to my core. And I'm sad. You know, there's sorrow. There's mourning because I was just with these guys. But at the same time, there's this like, it's like it fueled a fire in me to be like, man, I need to, if that's how these guys like represented their faith, I need to do something with my faith. And so that for me, I guess, was like the kickoff of when I really got into ministry in 2015.
Jeez, that's a wake up call.
Yeah,
and
it
a half,
is.
for real.
Big time.
You know what I mean?
Big time.
That's wow, man. What's that journey then been like of that? You know, that ministry aspect of things, juggling that with also your passion for adventure, adrenaline as well,
Business.
family, business, creativity.
Yeah.
Like, how do you make sense of that and now still continue that call and then I guess end up literally where you're at now, you know?
Yeah. I think of this verse in the Bible. Nor can probably like quote me if I misquote it because you know the Bible better than me. But
Not it.
I think you've done more Bible college than me anyway. We got Pastor Noor over here.
I regret more of it than you anyway.
But pretty much, I think it's 1 Peter 4:10, And it says, each of you should use whatever gift you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Nor confirms. And I just read that verse and I'm like, that's the essence of life. Whatever gift I've received, you've received the gift of being a good podcaster, you've received the gift of being a stay-at-home mom, you've received the gift of being an entrepreneurial business hustler, whatever it is, whatever gift you have received, use it to serve others. So I just go, okay, if God has given me the gift of communication, the gift of influence, the gift of leadership, I just want to use that to serve him in the Alex Tan form.
Yeah.
And you're doing it in the Marwa form, the Dan form, the Nor form. You're just doing it in your form, but I'm just trying to serve God in the form I feel like he's called me to. So that's pretty much been the last 10 years of my life.
Yeah. With so many other things happening in that journey, or literally moving your family over to Melbourne in between that as well.
Yeah.
Inheriting is that, if that's even the right word, but becoming the senior pastors of your parents' church then, and now even taking that church to a new state, or a new, not state, but like a new level, a new phase in the journey is also. It's like, it's not even just as simple as like continuing, I'm just going to keep on showing up and turning up as a pastor. But there's so many angles in between that as well. Especially with the business aspect of things, side hustles, main hustles. Like there's all sorts going on. But I feel like it seems like you're at a really good place that you've been able to make sense of all of it now then too as well. And you know exactly how everything fits in a particular purpose or meets ultimately what you're trying to do, or what you believe like, God has called you to do. I mean, is that correct?
Because I was going to say, it doesn't seem like you're restricted to just pastoring. Like when I see your life and the things that you do, seems like you're, okay, I'm going to be a pastor. This is what God has called me to do. But I also feel like he's called me to do so many other things that ultimately do align to your main, goal. But it's like, it seems like you're doing a lot more. And I feel like you are called to do a lot more. Like the skills that you have and the abilities that you have, the reach as well, and the potential that you have. I'm like, this guy can minister to millions and trillions of people. Like you've just got that gift within you. So
I appreciate it. I don't know about that, but I appreciate it.
Don't limit yourself.
That means a lot. Thank you very much. I don't know.
I don't know that there is something to that where it's like, maybe because I've been around, all of us have been around church for quite a while and whatnot. You see a lot of pastors and stuff, and they tend to live in a bad way, very Christian lives, right?
Explain that to me.
So their life is,
because I love your perspective on the church. I actually really and pastors, and I know you got a lot of thoughts. Yeah.
I do have quite a lot of thoughts. I think a lot of pastors and church people in general can be like this, to be fair. I think a lot of pastors only know Christians, only exist among Christians, and only exist and apply themselves to Christian things. And whenever I think about it, I'm like, it sounds so bad, but it's like, it's so uninspiring to me. Like, not that their life has to inspire me, but it's just like, I just kind of look at it and I'm just like, I don't know, man. Like, Jesus applied himself to something that was very unrelated to faith, which is carpentry. Right? Paul was a tent maker. Yesterday, Dan and I were just saying, like, Noah was also just building a ship. You know what I mean? Like,
for a long time.
A long literally, time. Right?
Like
so it's like
a century.
He's a bit of an odd guy, but thank God.
He's like, it's gonna rain.
Never seen rain before, maybe.
No, but like the amount of pastors, like, this sounds stupid, but it's like, you play rugby still, right?
Yeah.
Right?
I broke 2 ribs, dislocated my thumbs last season,
That's
but
good.
I'm going again. Going again.
But it's like, I don't know any other pastors that do that. It sounds so stupid and simple.
More pastors need to play rugby, honestly. For my mental health. Like,
genuinely. Like, I don't know any that have a sport that they attend, have a games night that they attend. And
you're saying like Monday to Friday is church for
you,
Saturday
to
Sunday
entire life is church. Like, and every
Yeah.
friend that they have is through church, and I've never seen them
yeah.
bring a non-Christian to church, and I've never seen them interact with people outside of the church, and when they do, they kind of freak out because it's like, oh my gosh, the world is...
The world's a world.
The world.
The world's
The world is the world.
The
Literally,
world.
that's what I was gonna say. It's like, someone swore in the coals, and I'm like shook about it. It's like, no, what the hell? Like, what are you showing? You know, it's just, I just feel like maybe I got this weird, you know, draw where it's like I got then surrounded by a lot of pastors that are like that, but it's like, it's not the most fulfilling thing when I like look at it. I'm just like, when I look at like my life, I'm like, it's so, like, there's so many things that it's like, you know, according to that, what you're like with that scripture in 1 Peter, where it's like, there's just so many things in the measure that God's given each of us.
There is.
And it's
and
like,
we're multifaceted people.
we are, like, every single person is. And I just feel like a lot of people within the church space end up dulling down some of those facets because they don't see how they can be gifts from God, because they don't see how it can directly be translated into them impacting other people. But it's like, what if the gift from God is just for you to enjoy life, right? So it's like, for some of the gifts, right? So for example, like rugby, yes, you can talk about God with people when you're at rugby and stuff, but you could also just have a cracker of a time.
Yeah,
and have your mental health restored.
I nearly got so many fights last season. Where I'm like, oh, I'm a pastor.
Then you see them in church on Sunday.
I was like, you should come. Yeah, you know that anger issue I have? Yeah, we sort that out.
Yeah. but like literally, it's like, what if the gift of that one is just like, if you apply yourself to this, your mental health will be better.
Yeah. I fully hear what you're saying, and I agree with it. I also, the probably caveat I'd throw in there as well is like, I really do have a deep respect for just faithful people that maybe what the world would call live a boring life, but I'm like, they're not stuffing up morally.
Yep.
They're not leading anyone astray.
I hear it.
They're being what the Bible calls a shepherd.
Yep.
And they're just being a good shepherd. So I actually have a lot of respect for those people. And we're beneficiaries. Is that what they're right?
Beneficiaries, yeah.
Beneficiaries of the old and faithful,
Yes.
For sure.
quote unquote, quiet, boring life. So I'm very thankful for those people.
Fair.
But I just think maybe how God has called me to do things. Maybe I've just brought myself to the table. I think sometimes when people get into ministry, they try to be like so clean and so cookie cutter, and they like actually alienate people in that way. Just in the last, I'm the senior pastor now of our church, HM Church on the sunny coast, having absolute time of our lives. We're having so much fun doing it.
A lot of growth and change, man.
It's just awesome. We're having so much fun.
Yeah.
And just in the last maybe 12 months, I can't tell you the amount of guys I've had sit on the front row with me, first time in their life in church. Wow. I've got one friend, if he's listening to this, he should be right. But like anytime I get up to preach, he sits there and does this and like crosses his legs and closes his eyes for the entire one. And I've had people be like,
that's not appropriate.
That's not okay. What's wrong with that guy? And I'm like, hey, he's in church. Like, yeah, bit odd, but that's how he connects. So let's just let him have his space. Yeah. What's wrong? He's just closing his eyes and doing some interesting things, but that's all right. Yeah. Had a guy with me recently, like first time ever in church. He's covered in tats, and my church is just so awesome. They're just so loving. They just get around him. Like I'm busy on a Sunday. I'm chatting to heaps of people, but he was never alone. Yeah. People were always with him. And after I was like, how was that experience for you? Like he's a 30-year-old guy, never been in church his life. And he was like, man, this was amazing. Goes, I'm coming back next week.
That's mad.
Another guy in our church, legend, absolute legend. He's got an ankle monitor on.
Bro, I can't lie. I saw this in a story one time. Yeah, I said, Ma, is this an ankle monitor? I was like, only in Alex's church, man. This man is inviting, bro.
I have so much respect for this guy.
You guys don't let him leave the premises?
That's bad. That's bad. We love you. If you're listening, we love it. We love you, brother. But he's got ankle monitor on. He's waiting for a sentence. He's potentially looking at 25 years. Like pretty big.
Yeah.
Big stuff.
Yeah.
And he's been coming to our church for about 8 months. And he is like the biggest advocate. He's just like, man, I love it here. I feel so safe. I don't feel judged, even though I've got this ankle monitor on. He's on our welcome team. Literally, he's a guy with a police ankle monitor on is welcoming people into our church. And I'm like, that's the picture of grace. That's the church. Church is not a place for perfect people. Church is a place for broken people to come together under a perfect God. And so like, I just love that, man. So I don't even know how I got on this tangent, but we just have all these interesting people coming in. And just like that quote I said earlier, our job is just to love the person in front of us. So I guess my role as a pastor, maybe back to your comments, Marwa, all these different things you see from my life. I don't know. It's not strategic. There's no blueprint. I'm not trying to do anything. I'm literally just like, bringing myself into any space. If it's the podcast, if it's the pulpit, you know, if it's a prayer meeting, whatever else starts with P.
That's what you're doing.
I just bring myself into that space. Yeah.
Not to digress a little bit, but I think it goes in line with ultimately where you're at now as well, and it's been kind of the story of your life too. But now as a senior pastor, but also previously being a youth pastor too, when you look
Those were fun days. When I was youth pastor in here in Melbourne, I remember we had a couch this size and we burnt it on fire. And everyone in Melbourne, you guys included, were like, this guy's crazy. And I was like, let's just burn this couch on fire. Like, for those listening, it wasn't a spontaneous thing. Like, we thought it out an hour before.
It makes it sound worse when you say it wasn't spontaneous and we thought it out.
But I was like, hey, Kevin, I need you to go get some fuel. Like, Nora, have you still got that lighter from when you used to smoke? Oh, you vape now? Man, we just burnt a couch on fire.
Wow.
Like, anyway, sorry, I didn't.
I mean, the Amazing Race
Oh, yes.
was lit as well.
During
Amazing
COVID.
Race. There's been some things that we got up to for sure. I was just gonna say, when you look at young people, and after you've had all your experiences, obviously, but then even just now, you kind of touched on it before. But what do you think hurts your heart the most, or do you think is like when you just look at the state of like where young people are at, or what do you think? I don't know. What do you think is one of those biggest issues that is kind of facing or attacking our generation, if I put it like that? It's a big one. My bad. That's
Question.
a loaded.
No, I want to
question.
actually give it some thought before I just say whatever comes to my head. The biggest thing,
or even just what hurts your heart when you kind of just look at how we live, you know?
I mean, obviously, it should hurt everyone's heart. Tragedy, abuse, trauma, sexual abuse, bullying, even, you know, like that should hurt anyone's heart because that happens in every young person's life. But I think zooming out of like those instances, which are far too common, and that does hurt my heart. And I'm like, as a pastor, like we journey with people that have come out of a lot of different situations. And it's even last night, I'm in Melbourne right now because I'm preaching at a bunch of places. I was preaching at a youth group last night, and this girl's sharing with me her story of abuse. And I'm just like, holy, like this is crazy. And like, you know, come and get one of her girl youth leaders. Like, you need to, I'm leaving. I'm out of here. I fly out, but you need to keep journeying with this girl. And that breaks my heart. I think something that I would say I see in young people at the moment is it would have to be comparison for sure. Comparison is just killing so many people's destinies. It's killing so many people's sense of confidence. It's killing so many people's time, comparison. And here's what I bring it down to. So when I was in uni, I did a sociology course. So there's psychology, there's all these other ologies, and sociology is like, it's
Study of society.
looking at society. Why do we do what we do? And it was such a fascinating paradigm to sort of think down a train of thought. And I remember hearing this concept that I'll never forget. And they said, back in the day, you could only compare your life with your neighbors. So, hey, we're pretty good. Oh, they got a new lawnmower, for example. Oh, maybe we should get a bigger lawnmower. Or they got a bigger truck. Maybe we should get a bigger truck. And you could only compare your life with your neighbors. And the reality is, the people that live near you most likely earned the same money, similar upbringing, similar worldviews. So your comparisons, even though comparison
limited.
Was wrong, it was still within like a safe bubble to compare because you're in the same sort of pockets of life. And then with social media, you're comparing your life with some trust fund kid in Dubai.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're comparing your life with some Hollywood superstar in LA, and you're comparing your life with some kid who's renting a Lamborghini on the Gold Coast to sell his flipping course, and you're like, oh, I don't have it all together.
Yeah.
But like those comparisons are just so not okay. So that the phrase, if you've heard it before, keeping up with the Jones.
Yeah.
That was literally, the Jones is a common last name.
Yeah.
It's like keeping up with them. And now this sense of young people to keep up, you know, girls to be like forever fit and in shape, guys forever to be like some big macho man, entrepreneur, hustler, course selling dude with a fancy car, and people to have perfect marriages, even like date nights for couples to be these extreme things. I'm like, man, I love social media, but if there's one aspect about social media, it's that comparison that just rots away. And I work with so many young people, and their sense of confidence is just like destroyed. You know, like I wonder if you guys can think in your own life if there was a moment where you were like, oh, they have that. So you even start to dress a certain way, talk a certain way, just because you see others do it.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I'm like
even if I can't pinpoint it, I know it exists.
It
in my life.
existed,
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where like it's actually a conscious decision to be like, stuff that, man, love yours.
Yeah.
Like I'm on my own. Like,
Yeah.
what am I actually looking at right now? And it's funny. It's a conscious decision, but it's still a hard one to constantly be drilling into yourself, because I don't think it's something that you can just have a mentality of it and then be fine, because you're gonna get bombarded again literally the next time you're back on, and then here you are again just like reinforcing of like, no, I am on my journey, I'm on my path. Like it seems very, and it's funny because I think, and thankfully you've been able to see this in a lot of young people's lives, but I think a lot of the older generation hears and then goes, it's not that deep, like close your phone, or you focus on yourself kind of thing.
But man, we all have phone addictions. We're all addicted to the dopamine hit of our phone. And so it's like, you can't, so the answer isn't just put your phone down or just delete the thing, because then you're not connected with the world. Like we need these tools.
It's a really hard balance, because it's like, it's actually the way we do life now.
It is.
And it's like, it's not, so it's actually not reasonable to tell people get off it.
Yeah.
But then it's like, the way we're doing life is killing us.
Yeah.
It's like,
So our life now is just so different.
Yeah.
It's so different. We've got some people who've joined our church recently, and they're a couple, and they're both Olympians. Yeah. And like fascinating.
What events?
Kayaking and decathlon.
Oh, mad.
Is that what it's called?
You know what it is? Like,
That's
those
serious.
are real athletes, but I'll never watch it.
Respect to them, but Noah's not watching
They're
it.
real athletes. Like, they're
Even
they're as real as an
kayaking is
athlete
mad.
can get.
Yeah. So on the
Jeez.
plane flight here, I was chatting with this guy from our church. We just happened to be on the same plane. It was awesome. And he's a literal Olympian. He's got the Olympic tattoo on him.
Oh, they love
And-
doing that.
Eh?
I love that for them.
Yeah.
Like,
get the
it's
tats.
cool. Like,
The
You
Olympic
can't
tat,
get it
yeah.
without it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you just can't, you know. So anyway, like you can get the teardrop and pretend you went to prison, but you can't get the Olympic tattoo because everyone's like, what sport? You're like, oh, Fortnite.
Sleeping.
And so I'm chatting with him, and he was at the Rio Olympics 2016. And I was like, man, tell us about your experience and da-da-da. And he's like, oh, I actually like met my wife there. And I was like, oh, the Olympic Village is what it is, you know. And he said, because he's a little bit older, and he goes, man, it's just so different. This is back to social media, how it works now. He's like, I like to be a man. Like, he's like, I was trying to approach girls, and I'm trying to say hi to people, and like,
Everyone's just
like,
swiping.
literally, he goes, I'm trying to like, quote unquote, flirt in real
Riz,
life.
yeah.
Get the W Riz going. So he's trying to do it. And he goes, but no one was connecting. This is in 2016. And he goes, my friend said to me, oh, you need to download Tinder. And he goes, oh, what's Tinder? Download Tinder. Phone's going off. He's like, he's at his peak. He's an Olympian.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, and he goes, my phone started going crazy and we were flying out 1 hour. And I was like, damn. Those men discovered too late. But probably good. Probably good. Praise God for his
That
purity.
was a God intervention right there.
He discovered Tinder too late. But it comes back to the concept, like this older generation doesn't understand how social media works.
Yeah.
And for him, this was like this epiphany of like, whoa, this is how I can do it. Ends up meeting his wife, you know, actual Olympian as well. But it just comes back to like this day and age, we're glued to our phones. So I think the solution isn't do away. The solution isn't Control Z. The solution isn't delete. The solution is just healthy boundaries. Yeah. Everything good, too much of it is a bad thing.
Yeah,
You know, like
course.
any aspect of
Literally,
life.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
running's good for you. But if you run David Goggins 20 hours a day, that's bad for you. You know, like water's good. If you drink too much water, you can literally die. Everything, too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure.
It's mad.
I was going to say, so you've got clean slate now. You've got 3 kids that you are raising. How do you introduce...
I was getting us back on track.
I was going to say, because, I mean, you use social media for, you know, the benefits that it brings as well, but also just sharing your life, which is pretty cool to see how you document, like, all the different things that you do. How do you now introduce that to your kids? In terms of like, okay, this is how we're going to, like, do they have iPads?
No, we
No?
don't. We are so anti-media for our kids.
Okay.
For now,
yeah,
or
or-
like,
At least for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
How old's yours? How old is that?
Isla's turning 7.
Wow.
Oh,
next
wow.
month.
Crazy. Oh, so you've got at least another like
Oh, we're ages
8
off.
years before
But like
you have to.
up until like maybe, this is a whole nother story. Far up. My mind just keeps running these
You've got
crazy
so
stories.
many.
Like I used to post photos of my kids' faces. I don't anymore. Like my wife, her account is fully locked down, fully private. Like only people we know and like see regularly have access to see photos of our kids' faces. And we are just like our kids are not allowed to even touch our phones. Because I just don't even know, accidentally swipe up, what algorithm, what ads, because they type something in. We're just like hardcore. I think access to the internet for kids is one of the most destructive things for this generation. How many kids are hooked on porn because they got a phone way too early? How many girls are struggling with an eating disorder because they found photos of, what the Kardashians look like, and they're like, oh, am I meant to look like? Maybe they're not the right example, but some skinny chick, and it just messed up their brain. So we are like hardcore anti-social media.
That's a hard one to navigate for sure, man. We always talk about ourselves like, yo, how do we actually do this? Like,
We'll have to cross that bridge one day.
Yeah.
But like, man, I don't, until they really need, maybe we'll get them like a brick Nokia and it's like, pick me up from school,
well, this is what I was saying. I was like, well, maybe we'll
message
start off with that, like communicate us vibes. But then I'm like,
get them an email.
Walkie talkies.
Yeah. Yeah, over and out.
My kids out here doing over and out. I'm like, I've done something wrong.
Roger that.
I don't want no Roger that kid, bro. Yeah, no, that's definitely tough.
wild.
On the social media thing, I think just to even talk about something that's dope that I think you do is campaigns, almost is what I'll call them. But again, bringing people along on a journey. So like you've got the I forgot how you phrased it, but it's the yellow background with the
Just words on a yellow
words.
background.
Is that it? Yeah, words on the
So
yellow
creative.
background. Your 100 push-ups a day, which you're still doing.
Yeah. I just had someone tag me in a story today. And so I won't even go into the story. But anyway, I started doing this 100 push-up challenge just during COVID. And I've essentially just never stopped. So we're coming up in 5 years. And like along the journey, heaps of other people just joined.
Yeah.
And you literally can't find a video of me on my socials of me shirtless doing push-ups. I don't do that. But like I just speak about the concepts of what it's done for my mentality time to time. Probably once or twice a year. I'm just like, hey, this is what this challenge has taught me. And people, it's not about building muscle. Like literally, I'm not ripped. And I do 100 push-ups. But it's disciplined me. It tells me I'm a disciplined man, and it helps me with discipline in the other areas of my life. And I just had someone tag me today. There's a video of him and some other girl, I don't know who she is, and they're just doing 100 push-ups. And he's like, it's because of, let me pull it up. Let me see what he said. It's pretty cool.
You've
He
only
goes,
looking at, there was another one that you're doing is with the highlighting in the Bible with crayon. Like it's just
bro.
these
little life
things and
hacks.
these little.
But this guy just tagged me and he says, been following the example of Alex Sand. I've done 4,500 push-ups since the 1st of January this year. And that's just him in his own, in his
A little bit
room.
more than 100 a day, isn't it?
That's right, is it?
That's just him just doing his thing. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's awesome. I'm happy for him. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. I think it's sick. Yeah, the discipline was actually what I was even gonna get to. Like these different things, like there's principles that you live by. There's discipline in there as well. And I think sharing that on social media is those are the ways that we see it being used. Like there's entertainment that we want from social media as well. But
You guys are entertaining. You guys are awesome. You guys are doing a good
try,
job.
man, try.
But I would also like, I hope, and I think I like my favorite conversations when people are like telling me like, oh, like it was cool hearing about this thing or learning about this thing or hearing a challenging perspective on this thing or whatnot. Like the entertainment is fun and it's super
Or the
fun
mode
and
of
rewarding
which
for us
the
when
delivery.
it goes viral for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But it's like I actually love the thought of like an actual conversation. Or like when people say like, like me and my family watched this together, or me and my family like end up chatting about this thing that we watched. And I'm like, oh, that's what I like.
Yeah, absolutely. But see, the thing is, for you guys to have a voice into someone's heart, you first need their attention.
Absolutely.
How do you get them with attention?
Entertainment.
Good hook.
Yeah.
A good Instagram clip, a funny laugh, you get a favorite rapper on, you get something, and then you have attention, and then they're like, oh, I actually like what these guys are about, because you guys carry a different spirit. There's lots of podcasts out there that are maybe talking about similar-ish topics minus faith, and it's like the spirit behind it is just like entertainment. They just want eyes, greed, whatever it is, but like you guys carry, I believe, the spirit of God behind what you do, and you guys are, you know, you're faithful people. You believe in God, so I just have so much respect that you've stayed the course in this industry, coming up with 300 episodes, and I just think about how many thousands of people you would never get to really meet that you've actually gotten to their ears, gotten to their hearts, with, I believe, an uplifting message. So, cheering you guys on.
Thank you.
It's awesome.
I'm curious, what are the questions you have
Yes,
for
I was
us?
literally going to ask.
Yeah. My questions is where's this going?
Yeah.
What's the plan? And you let's just pretend we're at the 300 milestone. What have you learned for the next 300 that you're like, yeah, no, we're not going to get those sorts of guys. We're not going to talk that sort of talk. We're going to do this. More live events, less live events. More like where's this going?
Where's it going?
All right.
So hard. There's so many angles on this. I think ultimately everyone has their flavor. Like aside from this will always be the flagship. But aside from this, I think everyone does love the idea of doing their own form of content. Whether that's like me and my own thing. I think Daniel Marwa tossing up something that they
Cooking.
do
Hey,
together,
look
and it's very different. I mean, we can throw around the concepts in a sense. Like theirs is more faith couple based. Mine is
Let's go. Come on.
yeah, mine's more just around like my life experience has just been all over the world, and so it's like I love learning about culture and stuff. But I'm like, how can I turn this into content? I think I actually have a good concept. So it's like that is I think where something will go in terms of extension of content.
Yeah.
But in terms of this, I think doing this many episodes so far, we're like. I think the biggest struggle we find is we don't serve a niche that has enough people in Australia.
Okay.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah.
And so whenever we do have people that can come on from overseas or whatnot, it's like they're down, or like we talk to some people now and they're like down, and like they are probably that niche that they serve is the biggest market in like the UK, let's say, right? Or whatever. But it's like there's so few and far in between here. So that makes the growth really stunted. And so it's like, but at the same time, you're going like, I just, like 100% thing I've learned is like, if I don't want somebody as a guest, I don't want them as a guest. Yeah. You know, it's like there's some people where I'm like, I just know this.
There's a reason you didn't get Drake on while he was here.
Yeah, like, I don't want that.
You're like,
no, it's just like there's so many people, and like this is kind of the tough thing where it's like I love this city, but like there's some times where you're like, I honestly don't think our audience is dying for an interview with this person or an episode with this person or whatever. And I'm just like, or it's like whether they want it or not, it's like I don't think that they would. You know what I mean? It's like not that they're some, you know, like good examples. Like I don't know if anyone in our audience like I'm dying for an episode with Alex Tam, but when they but I know when they listen to it, they're like, oh, this is good content. I enjoyed this.
And we kicked it off so well with the vasectomy.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
If they've stuck this long, they're like, this. It started weird, but and then it's ended weird. No.
Nothing changed.
But so I think there's definitely that aspect has been a big learn, because especially when you're first starting, like you're just trying to throw crap to the wall and see what can stick.
See what
you know what I
sticks,
mean?
yeah.
And you're like,
but that's trial and error.
even if it sticks, it's crap. You know what I mean?
I love it.
Yeah. I mean,
what for you guys? What's on your heart? Where do you see this going?
I think in terms of lessons and where it's going. So maybe I'll start off with the lessons part. After at the 300, if we're pretending that 300 mark now, I think what I've been able to see is definitely like the power of what a strong bond between each other can portray to other people. Because there's so many people that come to us and are just like, it's funny because I don't think we look at ourselves even in this way, but they're like, I really want that kind of friendship or connection or bond that you guys have. And I'm like,
I've seen you guys doing podcasts before you had cameras on you.
Okay,
You know what I mean? You guys were just talking that talk. Like I remember post youth, post young adult, post church, we'll just be hanging out. We'll go out for dinner at the Glen, whatever it is. You guys were just hilarious, vibing off each other, just all these things. And I remember just sitting back sometimes and being like, the connection and just the natural chemistry between you guys is like unmatched. So it just made sense to just turn the camera on.
Here we are now.
Yeah,
I mean,
like nothing's forced. That's what I love about you
I think
guys.
that's the thing. Like I've realized this hasn't been a forced thing. Like I think what we have in terms of the product is amazing. And like Nora's saying, it's the market in which the product exists in is what we're trying to now figure out how to place it,
How to shop it, right?
and how to shop it around. So in terms of now where we want to like go is being very clear on, I guess, the message that I want to put out, the people that we want to, I guess, serve, and then the image that is also attached to what this is. At the end of the day, we also want this to be, we want it, as much as we want it to be fun, as much as we want it to be, I guess, entertaining and current, we also still want it to be impactful, I think, collectively. Like we want to be able to have.
What is that impact?
So like we want so many more stories of hearing, like I think we shared it before, there was someone that just from listening to our pod, they're going through a really tough time, not even a Christian, but they ended up in our church because...
No, but not in our
Just
church on a
sitting.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Like Wednesday
they're
night
rehearsing.
worship team practice, and they just pulled up and sat at the back of the church and was
weeping.
like,
You know what I mean?
Whoa.
And I'm like, I'm literally, I just got chills now. But I'm like, it's hearing something like that. And then, people saying, I was talking about this with my family. Or you listening to you guys talk about this particular relationship perspective has made me realize I actually deserve more. I'm like, dang, man. Like, we're just here doing our thing. And it's like, I want so many.
we're just breaking up.
Wait, honestly, I do premarital counseling with couples, and this is gonna sound rough and maybe controversial, but sometimes the best result is that a couple splits.
100%.
I've never had that. I've never had that, but I've heard from other marriage counselors. Hey, if you can stop someone getting into like a lifelong commitment, and as Christians we believe it's a covenant until death do us part. That is not meant to be. That's actually a good outcome because they're then meant to find the person they're meant to be.
Great outcome.
Yeah. So if you guys out there breaking up little
The
boyfriend
wrong
and girlfriends, hey, go for it.
Legit. But I'm like, it's. I want to see that be the story of the pod. That constantly we actually have that track record. I think I was actually compiling at a point. I called it like TDE love notes, where it was just different messages that people have sent us or
sick.
commented things or sent anonymously on like the platform we use and whatnot. I'm like just collecting those type of things. If that becomes literally what the pod is about and the story of the pod, and as Christians points back to like people, I don't know, finding their own relationship with God too. I'm like,
that's
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah.
But the thing is, people won't write that in naturally. What I've noticed, and being a pastor for 10 years now, people don't just come up to you. Like they do, but it's very rare, and be like, hey, that thing you said, that changed my life.
Yeah.
Or like, man, that thing, it just opened my eyes. So for anyone listening, if this podcast has ever impacted you in a positive way, DM their Instagram and actually give them their flowers while they're still doing it.
Appreciate that.
And don't hold back with the compliments. Give them a loaded one. Big text message. Chunky big boy.
And pay ID to 0.
Of course
yeah.
you
You
would.
need that part too. Yeah.
My birthday's coming up. And, how about for you, Marwa? What's on your heart? I want to hear your thoughts.
Oh, it's interesting because for me, it's been a bit of a, not struggle, but a bit of a struggle, I guess is probably the right term to use. Because from the start, I always wanted to be behind the camera. I never actually wanted to be sitting in front of the camera and like...
You're so good in front of the camera. You got to, yeah.
And that's the thing that I struggle with because, you know, people be like, yeah, no, but like it's so natural. But I think it's because I'm comfortable with the guys that are here. And because, of course, Daniel's my husband. These guys are like my brothers. So we can have conversations that just flow naturally.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, oh, cameras, da, da, da. Even though I've been doing it for so long. And I think it's been something that I've been struggling with. But I do really, really enjoy the types of conversations that come out of it. Even these guys are really skilled. I don't know if people know, but like the effort and the workload that goes behind it, like the
huge.
graphic design, the editing, the setting up and all of this stuff, like it's actually a lot that goes into the production of it. We've got people that come and use our studio as well. So you guys
Daniel's have got unpaid interns.
unpaid interns, exactly.
We need to silence these interns as well.
Rest in peace, Victoria.
So I mean, like even if the content doesn't the views don't grow, or the content or the podcast or the band breaks up or whatever, like the skills that have been built here and the people that have come forward and be like, hey, can you please help me, set up my podcast, or hey, can you please help me with my event because you know how to set this up. Someone hit up Daniel a few weeks ago like, hey, my work does a podcast, our machine is broken, can you come and fix it? And it's like all of a sudden now
call out fee of $2,000.
I was literally did you charge them?
Did I charge them?
Yeah.
I did charge them. Yeah. I charged them.
I had quoted them.
Yeah,
I'm so happy
No, I heard
for
your point. I said, this guy's crazy.
brother. That's standard.
That's industry standard.
That's call out fees. Yeah.
But it's things like that where it's like there's been so many skills that have been built because we're doing this, because we love this craft, because we want to see it grow. And of course, you know, once you go outside and you ask people for help, like these guys do, you're going to charge, you know, crazy amounts. So it's like, let's try and build these skills that we have here. But I think the one thing that I love is literally when you go out, just meeting people for the first time or second time or third time, and they're like, yo, I was listening to your podcast this week. I mean, a lot of times they'll try and stop you and have a long conversation. I'm like, yo, it's hi.
Trying to get a live podcast episode out of you.
A podcast
You're getting
chat
popular
going.
now, getting held up on the street.
But it's like, it's
You're like, just
so-
take the photo and leave.
No, but it's so like, it's just so beautiful, and
That's
just
awesome.
affirming
Yeah.
that's like, yeah, people are actually listening and they actually tune in because they, I mean, after 5 years, you're going to get to know people, you know, you're going to get to know us, you're going to get to know our personalities. We
Yeah.
might not share everything in our life, but it's like, you get enough to kind of be like, okay, I know what type of person you are in terms of like your morals and stuff. But yeah, it's been beautiful. And I think the hardest part is the whole niche thing, but I love that because we love what we do. It's not something that we're planning to just throw away, you know, or something that we're planning to, you know, give up on. It's like, all right, guys, how can we actually, we want to do better for ourselves. We also want to do better for our community too. Like we want to see if we have to be the ones to, you know, grind out and pave the way so that the next generation, when they have podcasts, like the numbers actually grow. People are coming. When Drake comes, he's like, yo, there's a podcast in Melbourne I actually want to, you know, jump on. If we have to be the people to jump through those hoops to be able to do it, I know these guys say they don't want to do that, but it's like if we have to be the ones
Well,
to...
there's no choice now, is there?
if we have to be the ones to do that, then I mean,
so be
I'm
it.
happy to
Yeah.
be the pioneers, you know, for it. So
You guys are.
Yeah.
It's like, how many people do you know that are this deep into podcasting that are your age in this area?
Exactly.
So I think if back to like lessons question, it's like I think one thing has just been like consistency really does
Yes.
create something. You know
100%.
what I mean? It's like that. I think that has been like we've known that every single week because people always go like, bro, between like work and business and gym and whatever and all this kind of. I haven't been gym in a minute, but it's like, how do you do podcasts every week? And I'm just like, honestly, because I know that. This is the slot in the week that it is. It's just my part of my week. It's
Yeah.
not like I
Exactly.
don't think about it, right?
You make
But then-
margin for the things that you value.
Exactly, and and all the others, and it's like because when you do think about it, you're like, wow, okay, like everyone's gonna put in at the minimum 3 hours to this every single week,
Yeah.
and it's like that's the only way for it to sustain,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's like you kind of go like now I look back and I'm like, wow, like 5.5 years of like being at something, it's like I've seen what like at the very least I've seen that I can be at something for 5.5 years.
Yeah, if it's
You know what I
proved
mean? Like
anything,
that
it's proved
is
it to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That's huge.
It's and like I think I've said this many times where it's like the way I look at this, I'm like, best case scenario, we make millions of dollars, we tour, we all this kind of stuff, incredible. Worst case scenario, I have incredible memories with my best friends for life.
That's awesome.
That's the
And
worst case scenario.
It's documented.
And it's documented. So yes, we talk about
It's
this as
documented for your
yesterday.
kids.
Actually, this is so
For your
funny.
500 kids.
This is so funny. All right, so yesterday, so there's an episode from I think it's 2022, right? With Daniel and myself and Carl. It was me, Daniel, Carlos, but me and Daniel were on this thing of like, all careers are rubbish. All careers are rubbish.
Yeah.
Except for when we worked it out, and we were like, farmers, engineers, doctors. That's all we need to make a good society, right?
Don't
think about
try.
it too
Don't
hard.
try and
Don't think about it too hard.
Don't even
But,
try.
but it's facts, right? And then
Okay.
yesterday
It's facts.
we're having lunch, and we've got another friend with us, and she's a teacher, and I was like, "Your career's not worth it." I'll explain it to you. I was like, "My career's
She's
not
like,
worth
you're
it
a
either."
podcaster.
She's like, "This freaking asshole." And so while we're talking whatnot, Marwa searches it on ChatGPT. She's like, if there were only 3 careers that are worth having, right? What are they? And it goes farmer, engineer, doctor. And I was like, the fact we even have this video from 3 years ago of us
Yes,
saying this,
clip
and
it.
now I can put
Clip
a
it.
2025 freaking screenshot from ChatGPT. Like, this is sensational. I
Oh,
love this
that's
so much.
funny. That's funny.
But you're right. Like, just, and then the fact, like, one day, like, our kids might just sit around and be like, let's watch our dumb
binge
parents
it.
podcast.
But it's cool because
watch the apps.
like there's going forward in life. You guys are getting older. Life's moving on. The milestones are going to start to happen.
Yes.
Like you guys are married. Kids is an option. I'm not saying you're gonna, but kids is an option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Carlos and Nor aren't married yet. marriage is an option.
Yeah.
You know,
With Carlos and not.
No vasectomy needed.
Stop.
Sorry.
We need a count. We need a word count now for that.
Derailed us. But it's like,
Yeah.
there's this big milestones coming up, and it's awesome. It's beautiful. You know, like you guys get to see snippets of your relationship before marriage, and also you get to look back and be like, we were in the middle of a discussion, a fight, and we still did that podcast and smiled at each other. You know, it's like, it's just cool timestamps. You know, so I feel like I didn't get a clear answer. What is the future? Is it influence? Is it reach? Is it live shows?
This is what I wanted to touch on then now, is that I want, this is me, I assume we all share the same sentiment. I want us to be able to be producing amazing things for other people out of this house that we exist. So like to see this move into something bigger, somewhere bigger, and be part of the story of other people's now development of pods. So becoming a production like house for that, which have already started, which is beautiful in our small way now. Yeah, but grow that out. And then I think, we all want to actually ultimately see as well that the live show element of things, but definitely being able to be, I guess, the face of introducing people to different things as well. Like different tough conversations, but also like, I don't know, there's so many, I guess, brands or businesses and people doing amazing things, but there's no proper light on that, or the people that are actually being at the front face of that, or like, you know, the media personalities behind that are just not even engaging people. It's like, I believe we have the ability to actually exist in these spaces as well and bring attention in a good way to certain things. So whether it be different partnerships or ideas that we have in mind and stuff like that, being able to actually see that come to fruition and be the faces of these type of things as well.
And unless you're known for something, you don't get asked for it.
Yeah.
So that's what we're realizing.
It's like, oh, hey, I know you can do like epic cheese platters. This is just an example. And I've seen you at this just social events and friends' birthdays. Like, we got this event coming up. Could you quote for it? Oh, I've never charged, but you can start a business now. So it's like, unless you're known for something, you don't get asked to do something. I think about Hamish and Andy. Like, I don't know if this is comparable, but like they started doing their thing, their radio show. They became amazing at it. People listened to the radio just because of Hamish and Andy. No one listens to radio now for other things, but you look where it's taken them. And I look at just guys that have just like a personality on TikTok or whatever it is. Why is it that they're the ones like presenting Grammy Awards? Yeah. They're the ones on the news. They're ones. It's not all about getting in traditional media. Like I'm way more about social media than traditional media. But it's just like you never know what doors open when you just stay faithful and consistent at something. Sure. So I think the fact that you guys are this many years in, this many episodes in, it's like it's building a reputation that firstly, like you guys don't quit. Because like we have all seen friends get hyped up, start the Instagram account, rebrand themselves.
It's all the easiest spots
It's the Instagram account part that is that's the worst
like,
to see.
I'm starting a brand. You're like, you just started an Instagram like handle. You know, you're like, come on, grow up. But it's like, but it doesn't eventuate to anything. And I'm really over seeing people start and not finish. And I'd rather people like start and stick at it. That's the 100 push-ups for me. It's like, it's not epic. I'm not running a ultra marathon a day. I'm not trying to like, you know, whip my body like David Goggins and do all these crazy things. Respect to him. But it's more like, I'll just do one thing and I just won't stop. And that's just part of life now.
I think another element I was going to say is that also the community building. So I think from each of our also separate things that within the pod as well, but now the separate, I guess, productions or shows that we also have as well is the community that we also want to build within that. So if we're talking about the relationship, you know, young adult, Christian aspect of it, like the ideas we have in terms of what the community is going to look like as well, in terms of the experience that we bring to people, in terms of, I guess, the insight, and not even necessarily from us, because we're still figuring everything out too, but bringing in like the expert opinions or bringing in real life, practical, relatable, you know, like
you
lifestyle.
guys can talk about things that some pastors and preachers aren't or can't talk about. Not that they're afraid of it, but it's like you've got a platform. You've also got like a space, like a church service. We got to be pretty punchy with our sermons. You guys can tease some ideas out, and maybe you're not the one with the expertise on it, but you can bring it in.
Exactly.
A question I did want to ask you guys, and I'd love to maybe hear a snippet from each of you. Rest in peace, Carlos. But sorry, I'll stop taking jabs. Where are you, man? No. But it's like for someone here listening, maybe a younger person, someone that wants to start a podcast or has an idea, I want to put myself out there. what's your like billboard size piece of advice for them?
I know what mine is, like through and through, because we've been trying to find a way to apply this because we didn't do this. Find a niche. And the reason I say that is because it's all algorithm based when you in terms of clipping and stuff. Because the only way people are going to find out about your podcast is through clipping, right?
Yeah.
So the main one is find a niche. The other one is you've got to put in a lot of work in terms of like getting the clips out, all that kind of stuff, whatever. But the reason is, for example, we'll go viral and do 3 million views on a clip, right? Not all the time, but it's happened a couple times, right?
Yeah.
And then people enjoy it, but then the next clip that comes out has nothing to do with the thing that we went viral.
There's no retargeting.
Right? So we don't become the voice in that thing.
Yeah.
We've got guys that rent out the studio, Suited and Booted, shout out to them. What their niche is, so they're 4 guys, 2 ex-professional A-League players, 1 just a crazy football fan, and 1 was like an Australian wonder kid that went to Argentina when he was 13 to play football. And they talk not about football, they talk about Australian football, but not even the A-League that much. It's more the leagues below, right?
Yeah. So
And
they're the go-to.
when I tell you they are like, this is not even me, you know, hyping them. They are the fastest growing sports podcast in Australia, right? And so like, and now the Socceroos come and offer them things and the whatever and the whatever. And the reason is that every time they're the voice on that thing, right? So every time their content goes out, it's related to that topic. So the people follow. It's like, so, because what can happen is like, so we get a clip that does 3 million, 3.5 million, whatever it is. Followers obviously naturally pour in.
Yeah.
But our next content, they don't care for, so they don't engage with it, right? Which is not great for the social accounts, right?
Yeah.
With these guys, for example, in the space of, I think they're still under 50 episodes, but they've gotten to about 14,000 Instagram followers.
Just about a year now.
And their engagement is very high because people are interested in that topic every single time.
Because they're going to get a follow-up
Right.
for the next one.
And so that have a niche thing, I think, is the best. Because, like, genuinely, I remember, again, this is kind of a long thing. I used to work with a guy that made metal keyboard caps, keyboard keys.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
For gamers.
like just for anybody. Yeah. But yeah, mainly gamers that like those, you know, mechanical keyboards. And he'd sell them at like $70, $80 a pop, right? Minimum. Right. And I was like, damn, like, is there really a market for this, Joe? And he goes, if the global market is 1 million people and I have like about 10,000 of them right now, he's like, I'm good.
Yeah.
And I was like,
True.
You're actually right. You know what I mean? And so same thing with content where I'm like, man, if you really, really love baking and you want to do a baking podcast, right? Or go more niche, sweet baking, right? But you become
Sweet baking, gluten-free.
yeah, there you go. All right?
Vegan.
Yeah. It's like, all right, vegan sweets baked, right? And that's the podcast.
Yes.
Right? But it's like you're constantly the voice. You're constantly where people are going for ideas. You're constantly the whatever. It's like, even if the whole audience in Australia is 5,000 people, 5,000 people regularly tuning in can easily turn into money. Yeah. Like, because then the brands know where to throw money.
True.
Like, I think maybe that could be a confusion for brands when it comes to us, where they're like, we don't know what you're going to talk about necessarily just yet. So it's like, I can't just throw our whatever thing at you. Yeah. Whereas, like, again, with the guys doing the football podcast, where they're like, someone starts a brand and they have some, you know, R&D money and whatnot. It's like, oh, we've just started a shin pad company. Yeah. We know you guys don't talk about football.
The money knows where to land.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the niche,
Is the
like
plan,
that is
are you guys planning to niche?
So our side this
yeah.
is the really hard thing. We love this so much because it's a hang with our friends.
Yeah.
Right? So we might be giving the sauce a little bit here, but I think
we're taking the veil off.
The aim is to build our own personalities, like outside of this.
Yeah.
So that people get into us and then come to this, because we actually don't want to stop doing this. We've thought about it so many times, but like,
that's awesome.
We don't want to
like
go.
that.
We don't want to go full churchy.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want to go full not churchy.
Yeah.
Right. Like, we actually just want to be us, and we talk about so much crap. Like, when we do hang out, and so, but the side stuff is like, I think it'll be very niche, so that you can become, or we can essentially apply this thing that I'm talking about. Also, this is a great example of how like anybody can say anything confidently on the internet and sound very good, but I've never actually applied it.
That's humility. Yeah, I respect that. That's humility.
Oh man, self-awareness.
That's good. All right,
For
Dan,
real,
give us
for
your
real.
billboard announcement.
Nor's billboard is massive. Hopefully all of that.
If I'm on the M1 reading that,
I'm crashing, bro. I'm crashing.
Pile up and everyone's just reading niche.
I think for me, and it's because it's something that I'm currently doing now because of what we want to do, is to research this art form. Because I actually look at podcasting as like, I believe this is actually an art form to actually have conversation with people.
not everyone can talk.
Everyone can say stuff, but is everyone actually like speaking and like you're saying,
Engaging,
talking and engaging, right?
Yeah.
So I think research this. And why I say that is actually look at other conversations that people are having within this particular space that you want to get to as well, and not think that you can just jump into this. And beyond even just researching how to have conversation, research what goes behind actually putting together a podcast. Because I think so many people think it's really as easy as buying the roadcaster, the mics, and setting up the cameras.
It's so cringy. You see these guys getting up and they're like, oh, that's sick, man. And they're like literally just rehearsing stuff they've heard Andrew Tate say, Joe Rogan say, like, have you tried to eat an elk meat in an ice bath? Yeah, brother. You know, you're just like, come on, be original.
Literally.
Yeah,
And I think that's what I take from how we probably didn't do this ourselves slightly. Like there was a few podcasts I was really listening to, and I listened to them for years before I was like, okay, I actually really want to now try this myself and then apply. We try to even like take some of the styles of things, but then try to make it our own. So when I say this to someone, if someone wants to start a podcast, it's research what goes into it, research the art form within the space that you want, and then now make that your own as well. So
It's awesome.
yeah.
Marwa, hit us with it.
Good. All right. I'd probably say two things actually. The first one is definitely invest in yourself. I know when a lot of people come into this space now, they're like, wow, you guys got cameras, you've got lights. This isn't what we started off with. We literally started off with 3 cracked iPhones, which were Nor's iPhones that he bought to, an office that we were using. And
Your dad's office, right?
yeah, his dad
And
literally
the floodlights.
Exactly.
They got
They're
updated.
the only thing that still exists from there.
They're OGs. Yeah,
No, but it's like we had such a different setup, and if you go back now and you see our old videos, it's like you'll see the quality has changed so much. Our backdrop, our chairs, everything has just been different because we took that step to invest in ourselves. Of course, it is going to be pricey, but like Daniel said, if this is something that you really want to do, you're gonna firstly, do your research on it. But it's like if you have the passion for it, you're gonna want to invest in yourself as well. It doesn't mean go buy the most expensive camera, but it's like eventually you know that okay, I might have to upgrade the sound quality, the camera quality. I might have to get proper couches or whatever it is. Just to kind of because I mean ultimately
Donate them to a youth group.
because I mean ultimately you're doing the podcast for yourself, but you're also wanting other people to listen to you and enjoy the experience. At the end of the day, it's an experience as a whole. That's why when we come here, that's why when we come here, we're like you said before, it's actually pretty spot on. When we have an argument, we leave that outside the door. It's like we're not going to come in here and now we're going to, I'm going to be long face or I'm going to be angry and the energy is just going to be low. I even remember there was one time where we all came and everyone's energy was pretty low. And then Noah's like, all right, guys, let's get it up. And as soon as the camera switch on, it's like, we're not being fake, but it's like we know that
there's a job to do.
Yeah, there's a job to do. This is our passion. We're here with our friends, and then eventually you just forget all of the things that are happening, and you just genuinely start.
in it.
You let yourself really.
There's been times when like we've probably all been like kind of maybe angry at each other or something. Like there might have been something that happened or we haven't picked up our slack in whatever.
Yeah.
And then we turn the cameras on and we're like, hey man, it's
You
like,
remember
let's
that you're
start.
friends
Exactly.
above everything.
Yeah.
It's actually very funny.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is what happens to my wife and I when we go on date nights every second month. So we got 3 kids. We're like, I do love you. You're beautiful.
I actually don't
You
care
just
that
remember.
the toilet was left out. Or whatever.
Yeah, you're like, wow, it's good to make eye contact. Like, honestly, like we're having 3 kids, like you can just become mum and dad so much that you forget your husband and wife.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's for you guys in a few weeks. But like, I really love that because I was interested in your reply, and I'm so happy I didn't hear a reply about like changing to chase the money, changing to chase just like what are people demanding of you, but like you're gonna create other avenues to do different things and niche down, but this is gonna stay as like the center point. And I love that because it's like people pick up authenticity and people smell fake from a distance. So like Yeah, I love that. I love that answer. It's awesome.
Did you have was there another one?
The other one was just going to be put yourself out there, like literally. And I think that's something that we also are trying to do more. Like just email the people, you know, email whoever it is that you want to collab with. You know, do yourself a photo shoot. Honestly, do yourself a photo shoot, some nice clothes, put the photos
that
out
new
there,
LinkedIn.
send it to people. Like you never know what type of responses you'll get as well.
Yeah.
So
100%.
it's worth it. It's worth it.
And that's like looping back to a comment I made earlier about something that's just really disrupting this generation, that sense of comparison.
Yeah.
I think when people are constantly comparing themselves, they're like, oh, but I don't have 10K to spend on cameras. I don't have the lighting. I don't have the space. Or they go, I don't want to reach out to someone. What do they say? No. And that it keeps them trapped. But you guys have like set the tone, the example of like putting yourselves out there, spending some dollars, getting some investment.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
There is an element of like, also it's like, consistency is one of the markers where it's like, you know, we're literally the story of like, we should start a podcast when friends hang out, and then we actually just stayed consistent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many people was like, oh, we should start a podcast, and then there's no consistency. But then the other side of it as well is like, I would say like, if you're like, oh, I want to start this, then it's like, you should be willing to invest something into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would say realistically, $1,500 is enough to get you started. You know what I mean? And I'm saying like, then be savvy. Go on Marketplace. Find a roadcaster that might be missing a button.
Hustle
you know what I mean?
out. Yeah,
Find, you know, whatnot. But it's like, that should get you pretty good.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, if you're not willing to be that savvy, then it's like, I don't know if you really want to do.
What are you waiting
forget
for?
podcasting, like whatever it is. If you're not willing
what
to
are
be
you waiting
like,
for? 100%.
it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I heard this quote and it said, if you don't cringe at your old content, you started too late.
So when Ma was saying like, we started in the office, whatever, I was like, every time I see those videos, when I like forget where we started, what we were recording on, whatever, that's not the problem. We all look so poor. Like we look so broke.
Yeah, look at you now. You got a new chain every year over here. We know where the ad revenue is going. And it's chains. Come on.
Is coming through, man.
Hello.
But yeah, like we look
like
at that, I'm like, bro, we look disgusting. But then it's like, yeah, I don't know.
can
Like
cringe
I'm
because
not,
there's
I'm
been growth.
cringe. I cringe, but I'm not mad at it.
Yeah,
like I'm
for
like,
sure.
I'm glad. It's
I mean, if we're mad at it, we would have deleted those
Yeah,
off YouTube
100%.
expeditiously. But I think, it's that thing of like, we can only literally cringe because there's been we've moved on from that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or we've grown from it. So, I like that for sure.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
I hope this podcast has been some sort of encouraging, inspiring,
good.
challenging
Yes,
vasectomy,
it
like just whatever. Like I feel like we danced around a few things. I haven't really given you one central message,
No,
but
I'm glad.
I've thoroughly enjoyed this, and I know we've been trying to tee this up.
Yeah, for time.
Heaps
Bro,
of times we've been
so
trying to
long.
line
But
this
I think
up.
this was the right time.
I honestly feel like it has.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I remember when you guys got started and I just had this thing. It wasn't any sense of arrogance or pride, but I was like, man, it'd be so cool one day if I could be on there and just to see you guys rolling. And it's taken 5 years. Here we are. 5 years, 3 kids, 1 marriage, whatever. But it's like, it's awesome. It's so awesome. So yeah, I love what you guys are doing.
It's been fun. It's been good for us too, I think.
it
It's been awesome for everyone, that looks
Yeah.
like. So.
It's a nice catch up.
Hey, man.
awesome.
We literally just caught up on camera.
I know.
For real.
That's
We needed to
podcasting,
do
man.
this either
So
way.
it's-
You see,
Yeah.
and that's how natural and good we are at what we do, guys. You know what I mean? So stay tuned.
I think that's us, man.
Yes.
Yo,
Sweet.
you guys can follow Alex there and in the description. It's
Bam.
good word. There's fun content.
Bam.
There's always words on a yellow background. Some good thoughts.
Who knows? It gets random every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
More stuff.
But it's always wholesome. It's always wholesome.
Sure.
Thank you for joining us. Joining in,
Yeah,
tuning
you've had
in,
too much fun.
joining us, whatever. Thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share this around, and we'll see you guys next week. Peace out.
Bye.
Cheers. So good.
Oh, that was fun.